This meeting is...
Hey, everybody. This is Mr. Butch out at the Moore Branch with his partner in crime.
Hi, I'm Miss Rhodes downtown at the Ben May Main Library. We're so glad that you're here with us today.
Oh, yes. I mean, I hope you had a wonderful holiday, whichever holiday that you celebrated. I hope it was wonderful. We've started off a brand new year. So we have a lot of books we want to talk to you about. Some new books, some old books, some about winter, some about animals in the winter. So we've got bunches of stuff we want to talk to you about today. Because
Speaking of winter,
yes,
Mr. Butch,
you know,
we have a Build a Better World reading challenge that we could share with everybody.
Yes, we definitely need to share that with everybody.
So this is in Beanstack. You can go to mobilepubliclibrary.org and look under kids and 1,000 books before kindergarten, and it'll take you links and all to get to Beanstack and sign up. So this is my Beanstack page, Miss Rhodes, MR. And there's the Read for a Better World reading challenge, which I have one badge already because I signed up for the reading challenge. The challenge is to read 600 minutes in the month of January. I know that's a lot of minutes, but if you count every minute that you spend reading, I mean, and that other people spend reading to you and from story times and everything that you do, 600 minutes. And just for signing up, you get entered to possibly win a hot chocolate bomb. Isn't that exciting? You ever seen the hot chocolate bombs? You put the bomb, you can destroy the fire.
Yes, definitely. Love hot chocolate, big time.
Yeah, so let's see what the challenges are when you sign up. Let's see. You can see that I've already started reading, maybe. No, it's not showing here yet. You can log badges. I don't have 60 minutes yet. I only have 15 minutes so far. I'm gonna read more tonight. I just signed up this morning. And then activity badges. Let's see what some of these are. Which one do you want to click on and see what it is? Best of me, big feelings, celebrating difference, read for a better world gift.
I sort of want to read best of me.
Let's see what's under
evergreens. Interesting. Okay.
It's important to feel good about yourself from the inside out. Identity is the collection of traits and characteristics that make you you. These include how you look, your personality, your culture, and your abilities. Let's see what the activities are. Scroll down. Write down or draw the traits and characteristics that make you you.
Okay, I can do
What
that.
parts of you are you proudest of? Oh, a good chance to write that response down. Think about what you are. Right? And then what do you think people may be surprised to learn about you? So you answer all those things and then you click save and you'll get a badge.
All right, that'll be great. That'll be
one more.
Great.
Let's see what this one would be. Feelings are emotions that everyone experiences. Yes, we do. Sometimes feelings can be big and overwhelming or even scary, but all feelings are important. They give you information about what's going on around you. Make a list of your feelings you've experienced. Don't worry if they're good or bad. Feelings just tell us what you need. And then you answer, what are some healthy and safe ways to express feelings? Pretty easy to get the badges, pretty easy to sign up and get entered for a hot cocoa bomb.
Yes.
Try that reading. You never know, you might read 600 minutes.
I had a friend that had to have surgery back in December, and I gave them a get well card. So that would fit into that last, yeah. Okay, I could click that one off, I think. So that's good. Yeah, and of course there are lots of other, what now?
I think this is going to be a fun challenge.
I think it is too. I really do think it is. And I've already picked out some books that I'm going to be reading, even though I had them for story time, but because of COVID, we're not having story times this month. Just keep looking at the website to find out about February. But right now,
Right.
we're not going to be having story times.
MobilePublicLibrary.org.
There you go.
Events for kids.
But one of the things I was going to read stories about was snowmen. And I love this whole group of books. There's snowmen at Christmas, snowmen at night, snowmen year round. There's several of them. But what's so neat about it is the lady that wrote it, her husband drew the pictures and he hid things in the pictures. So once you read the page, you can actually start looking to see if you see any of the hidden things. And I'm going to show you one right there. Can you see that bunny rabbit in the snow? There you go. That's one of the hidden things that you can find.
I do. There's a bunny.
Yeah. So.
Oh, Mr. Butch.
So
I hate to interrupt you, but we have a couple of people watching and we need to remind them to comment to us and talk to us in the chat, because that's how we know that they're participating and we know who to contact back about winning the prize, the water bottle.
So don't you have some winter books too?
I do. This week in Storytime, I was going to do penguins with penguins everywhere. This is a fun little book by Bob Barner. Some penguins live in icy places. Some live in the heat. Did you know that? They do. And their colors help them hide when they fish for fishy treats. They're not the only ones that are colored that way as well. See how even the whale does that so that the animal's looking up?
Right.
The white and bottom, see so that's like the penguin. So we were going to make a craft. So I thought I would show everybody the simple little craft that we were going to make and see if there are so many other ideas. So we were going to take a handprint, just trace your hand on dark paper, because when you look down from the sky, the penguin wants to blend in. And from the bottom, we need something white, because when the animals from the bottom look up, they want to think the penguin is camouflaged, that it's the sky. So I traced my hand, and then I traced my cocoa mug and made a circle for his belly to be white when he's swimming. And then I had some googly eyes, but I thought, what am I going to do for the beak? And so I drew a heart on orange paper. So that's all I needed was some paper and some googly eyes. But then I got to thinking, what if everyone doesn't have the paper and the googly eyes at home? What are some other ways that I could make some penguins? Do you want to see all my penguins that I made?
I do.
Maybe I was thinking
I want to see them all.
Because you know how he has lots of penguins. But so I made a more traditional one. I just drew a couple of ovals and some hearts, and I did a triangle. I cut it on where I folded the paper so that he can actually talk, his beak moves. And then I thought, why not a square penguin? Because we're all kind of different, right? We're all kind of shaped different. So there's a different penguin. He's square. And I gave this one a bow tie.
I was going to say, I like the bow tie.
We're still doing hearts and squares. And then I thought, well, let's try another one. This one's a triangle.
And I love his hat. He has a little hat on.
I think I was thinking of these in this nonfiction book that I was reading. It's just penguins in one of our nonfiction nature books. And because, I mean, doesn't the hat on it kind of remind you of the rocker?
Is that a macaroni?
Rock hopper. It's a rock hopper.
Rock hopper.
Rock hopper penguin.
He looks sort of like a punk rocker to me.
He looked like a punk rocker. When I first read it, I read it wrong. I read rocker instead of rock hopper.
Oh, me. Well, I also was going to read this one, Chaucer's First Winter. And it talks about the first time that he went through winter and the first time that he saw snow and all these animal friends that he makes. And then I started thinking about animals in the winter. And so I decided I would make a craft that you could pick up and take home.
Good
And
idea.
guess what? I'm using a hand too. You use your hand.
And it's a bird too.
And it turns out to be a cardinal, a red bird. And what you get if you come to the Moore Branch Library is you will get a red piece of paper for you to trace your hand and cut it out. You have instructions on how to make him. You get a feather. Oh, my googly eye stuck to my feather there. Googly eye and a beak and the black part of his head. And those are all come together and you can make your own winter redbird or cardinal.
Oh, and they're both birds. A penguin
That's
is a bird
right.
too, but it's a penguin that doesn't fly, and a cardinal flies, right?
That's right, because he comes mainly in the wintertime. He comes here. He's one of those that comes south in the wintertime. So, and they're so pretty.
If anyone stops and picks up one of Mr. Butch's bird activities at the Moore Spring Hill branch, we would love for you to share them with us on Facebook and let us see them completed. Also, if anybody decides to take any of my ideas on making penguins, or if you have ideas of your own and you make some penguins, we'd love to see them.
Now, next week, the take and make craft is going to be a
snowman.
Snowman. So you need to check, because some of the other libraries might be doing things for you to pick up too. So since I can't read stories, I'm making sure there are crafts that you can get. And then I started thinking about my favorite winter books.
Oh, I love that one, The Mitten.
Jan Brett. And it's neat because there are two similar books. There's The Mitten, and then there's another one called The Hat. And what's interesting is this one is about a boy that loses his mitten, and you can look at all those wild animals. There's a mouse and a bear and an owl and a rabbit and a fox and a badger and a hedgehog and a mole right here, and they all get in the mitten. Well, I said, you know, that's interesting. And then I looked at this one, and the hat is actually a stocking. But look at all these animals: cat, horse, pig, chicken, duck, hedgehog. She likes hedgehogs. Goose, dog. So all of these are farm animals, except for the hedgehog. They're all farm animals. So that's one of the big differences is this is farm animals. These are wild animals. And Mr. Butch just loves her illustrations.
Yeah, really great.
So when I think of winter, I automatically think, plus she has a lot of other books that are set in the wintertime too, that are just very, very, very good. So I recommend Jan Brett books if you want to read some that have snow in it. Since we don't get much snow, you might want to read a book about snow so that you can see what animals do in the snow. Of course, penguins, some live where there's snow and some live where there's not any snow.
Right.
But I'm going to tell you a fact about your penguins. Did you know that all penguins live south of the equator? There are none up where Santa lives. All the penguins are at the South Pole or
not
further
read that
north.
in all my reading. I did
What?
not read that in all my reading about the penguins.
Because there are penguins at the Galapagos Islands off the coast of South America,
Mhm.
where there is no snow. It's very hot. And there's some at the Falkland Islands on the other side, but that's still south of the equator that circles the middle of the earth. So they're all south, and it's sort of like polar bears. Polar bears only live north, penguins south. So, but anyway, just a little bit of that crazy knowledge that floats around up here sometimes, but you know.
Very interesting. You always teach us something new, Mr. Butch. So I was looking at the new bookshelf, and speaking of art that you like, this one really caught my eye. Soul Food Sunday. I also like the food that's pictured on the front, and I love these bright colors. And this art catches my eye every time. And so I'm enjoying reading this story. And you know, another fun fact about this book, Soul
What?
Food Sunday, written by Winsome Bingham. In the back, you can learn to make one of the recipes. There's a recipe for
Mac and cheese. Oh,
So
I wonder what other, I gotta go and get that one because I want to know what other kind of food they talk about in that book. Because Mr. Butch was raised in Georgia and he was raised on soul food. So I want to see what other kind of food they've got.
it all looks
Ooh,
good.
turnips and turnip greens.
Mustards and collards.
Ooh, I cooked some collards last week for New Year's.
Pork
Ribs.
ribs, beef ribs, hot
Sausage. Is that sausage?
You'll have to read the book to find out the rest of them,
Okay.
and how to make the macaroni and cheese.
If I make the mac and cheese, do I have to share?
Yes, with me.
Oh, with you, okay. As long as I don't have to share with everybody, I'll be okay. I'll be okay. Well, all the books that we've looked at so far, we've had one nonfiction about penguins, but they've all been more of your picture books.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have started reading another new book we got that is called The School Between Winter and Fairyland. And it's about a girl whose twin brother goes missing, and she's trying to find him. And she and her family are the beast keepers at this school. So they look after the dragons and the wyverns and the bogarts and all that type of stuff. And I've read the first few chapters, and I tell you, Miss Rhodes almost didn't get me on the show because I was reading this book and I did not want to put it down. Very good book. And I see another reason I wanted to let you know about it is I know that Miss Rhodes likes these kind of books too, just like Mr. Butch does. So she needs to read this one too. I really think she'll enjoy it. I really do think so.
I pulled another science fiction one off the shelf, though, the new shelf, when I was looking. I didn't see that one, but mine looks very similar on the front.
Oh, Daughter of the Deep.
By Rick Riordan, who happens to be an author that I really enjoy his book.
I met him when he wrote the fourth book in the Percy Jackson original series, The Labyrinth. I actually got to meet him, and he's an interesting fellow.
Cool.
He'd
This
written
is about
adult
a girl,
books.
Anna Dacker. She's a freshman at Harding Pencraft Academy that graduates the best of marine scientists, naval warriors, navigators, all underwater explorers of the world. But there's, of course, you know, some intrigue, things happen. The professor that she's working with is fighting a Cold War against a rival school that's been going on for 150 years. And now the Cold War has been turned into a full boil And the freshmen are in danger of becoming fish food. And there's a race against deadly enemies. So, I mean, I think this one's going to have me on the edge of my seat. And then when I finish it, I can read the one that you pulled. What was its name again?
It was called The School Between Winter and Fairyland. The twin boy that goes missing, his name is Winter, and his sister's name is Autumn. In this book, Winter and Autumn. So that's, that's neat.
Well, as soon as I finish reading about Anna and her underwater studies that are turning deadly, I'll have to find that one.
I tell you, Rick Riordan first wrote adult books, and his own children said, why don't you write some books for us? And that was the beginning of the Percy Jackson series that has started all of those wonderful mythological books that he's written. This one doesn't sound mythological, or it might have something in there that's mythological. I guess I'll have to read it and see.
I haven't found that part yet, but I'm half expecting it because of how much of it has shown up in the other books.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And the title makes me think Neptune, god of the sea, or Poseidon, god of the sea. And she's daughter, wasn't it daughter of the sea?
Daughter of the deep.
Daughter of the deep. I don't know. It sounds like it could.
It
have
could.
some mythology in it too.
Yeah,
but his books have Greek mythology, Roman mythology, Egyptian mythology, Norse, the Vikings mythology. Mm-hmm. So it wouldn't surprise me in the least if this had some mythology in it too, which even makes it a little bit better because it adds something that Miss Rhodes and I both like, which is just a little bit of magic might be added, which always makes it a little bit more interesting. You don't know what's going to happen when you do stuff like that. So, but those are some of the things I'm doing here at the Moore Branch. Hopefully in February, we'll be back to story times. But check with the branch closer to you and see if they might have some make and take crafts set up. I always have some out for you to pick up if you come by my branch. And I try to change them out every week or so. What now?
I told him to just stop by the desk and ask.
Yeah, that's all you have to do. That's all you have.
Or there might, other libraries might be doing other things that they would have, since we're not able to have the gather with the programming. There might be some other fun things going on around the library. So be sure to stop and ask when you drop in to get your books. And, speaking of COVID and the pandemic and everyone's talking about shots, I found a book that I'm very interested in on our new bookshelf. I mean, it came in August and I missed it, so I'm just seeing it now. But it's called A Shot in the Arm. Everyone's talking about shots and the vaccine, not a vaccine, all this stuff. But this is the history of vaccines.
Oh.
And, I've seen some histories and they're pretty long and they got pretty in depth talking about these diseases and stuff that have gone on in the world and the vaccines that were developed. And they're kind of interesting, but they were hard to read. So I was pretty excited to see this one because it's a graphic novel.
Oh, wow.
So it talks about all different, the history of disease, and there's a timeline. You can see that if you just want to read the timeline of things broken down and vaccines and stuff, and just be more knowledgeable about it when you hear everyone talking about vaccines and stuff and history of what's gone on before this one. It's all right here. A shot in the arm. Big ideas that change the world.
Well, Mr. Butch is so old that he remembers when at school, they would call us and we would line up and they would take a sugar cube and drop the polio vaccine on the sugar cube and give us a sugar cube to eat. And that was a vaccination for polio, which was a horrible disease. And but now you get that in a shot now, but back then that's not the way it was done. So, oh yeah, I think that would be interesting. I'd like to know what some of the first vaccines were.
What are the ones in here?
Uh,
I can read that history.
I think I heard that one of the first vaccines was for smallpox because of a girl who got cowpox who milked the cows a lot, and then they used her blood to make a vaccine. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, so Miss Rhodes is going to have to read that book and let me know whether or not my story is close or not.
I'm going to have to read the book. I'm very interested in this timeline, and you talking about polio, and I know polio is one of the ones in here. I found it in the index, so I'm going to have to get more details.
Yeah, and we even had a president that had polio. Franklin Roosevelt had polio before he was president of the United States and was usually in a wheelchair. And yet he served longer than any other president, because after he was elected the third time, they changed the law that said you could only be elected twice, because he was elected 3 times in a row, 4 years, then 4 years, and then he was elected again. And they changed the rules. And yet he was someone that had suffered from polio. But that was before there was a vaccine. So, might not ever see that again. You don't know, though. You don't know. That would be an interesting book. I hope we've got a copy here. I might have to look at it too. A Shot in the Arm.
Shot in the Arm by Don Brown. It's
Shots
in the 614.47 area.
Yeah, shots don't bother me. Some people don't like shots. They don't bother me. Do they bother you?
They used to.
Oh, okay.
When I was a kid, they did. They really did. But not anymore.
Yeah.
I learned that if I just breathe and look the other way, it's no big deal.
Well, I had allergy, so I had to get every other week. I used to have to get 2 shots to try to fight the allergies that I had. So I got so used to getting shots that it doesn't even faze me anymore. I sort of look and say, "Oh, are you finished?" And they just go.
See, you turned your head and you breathed, and
yeah,
better. That's what I learned.
Absolutely.
So be sure and comment if you're watching, or share pictures of some of your crafts that you made.
Yes.
So we can have a drawing with your names for our water bottle from today's episode. We'd also love to hear what you are reading. We've shared some of what we're reading. And that's our time for today, Mr. Butch.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
We spent half an hour like nothing talking about books.
You know, it's strange. Someone that works for a library talking about books. That's just unbelievable.
Don't forget to sign up for the Winter's Reading Challenge. And do
absolutely. I'm going to be signed up when we have this one is just for January. So whatever we're doing in February, I will be signed up and ready to go.
Remember, just for from our website, just going to Beanstack and signing up for the challenge gets you entered for that hot cocoa bomb.
Absolutely. And I hope we see all of you again next month. I'm trying to go ahead and say this because I'm afraid she's going to ask me for a song and I don't have a song. So I'm just saying that glad you came.
February the 2nd, 4
we will
o'clock.
See you next month.
February 2nd, 4 o'clock. See you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us.